Buhari Putin agree on accelerating bilateral cooperation on abandoned projects. Banditry, kidnapping could become capital offences in Zamfara, punishable by death. On the international scene, Britain braces for election while awaiting EU decision. And in sport, postponed 2019 El Clasico to hold on December the 18th.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Presidents Muhammadu Buhari and Vladimir Putin of Russia have agreed to accelerate Nigeria-Russia relations. They have also decided to put efforts into completing all initiative projects both countries had abandoned. The two leaders held a bilateral meeting in Sochi, Russia, on Wednesday on the sidelines of the ongoing Russia-Africa Summit. The two leaders also want to cooperate in improving Nigeria's oil sector efficiency. They also agreed to start new infrastructure projects and boost trade, investments, security, and military cooperation. The cooperation will see to the rehabilitation of refineries that would involve joint ventures between Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and Russia's leading oil company, Lukoil. Russia's gas giant, Gazprom, will also collaborate with NNPC to revive the already existing venture between them to develop Nigeria's enormous gas potential and infrastructure. The discussions also touched on the moribund Ajaokuta steel rolling mill, on which Buhari requested and Putin accepted a government-to-government relationship to complete and commission the plant. Zamfara State House of Assembly has begun deliberating a bill that would make banditry and kidnapping capital offences punishable by death. House Leader Alhaji Farouk Dozara, who sponsored the bill, urged his colleagues to fast-track it to be able to maintain peace and stability in the state. The House Leader said the bill would support Governor Bello Matawala's efforts to provide lasting solutions to the state's security challenges. Lawmaker Liu Danjigba, who seconded the motion, appealed to his colleagues to accept the bill, which he said would support the Assembly's commitment to ensuring peace, harmony, and stability in the state. Detectives in the Federal Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department in Lagos have located a brothel that comes and sexually exploits underage girls. The detectives have identified Dafog Hotel in Shimawa in Ogun, Lagos border community, where 2 men and 14 women were arrested on Wednesday. Among them are Benga Olayinka, who owns the hotel, his nephew Adekunle Oshineye, 3 adult sex workers, and 9 underage girls. The detectives say the girls, reportedly brought from Akwa Ibom, Kogi, Enugu, and Imo states, were forced to sleep with at least 4 men daily for between 500 and 1,000 naira per client. The girls said they were lured by their friends who were already in their trade at the location. They also said they paid their boss 1,000 naira daily for accommodation. They also claimed to be sexually molested at will by their boss. Hotel owner Olayinka denied knowledge the girls were underage. He said they usually walk in by themselves to rent rooms in the hotel and claimed to be at least 20 years old. The Central Bank of Nigeria has a subsisting higher minimum loan-to-deposit ratio policy for commercial banks in the country. Meeting the requirement has been a challenge for the banks, but the Central Bank has vowed to penalize any bank that fails to adapt to the policy that is aimed at increasing lending to the real sector of the economy. Reporter Deja Badmus breaks it all down for us.
If there was any doubt as to how effective the measures taken by the Central Bank of Nigeria on the minimum loan-to-deposit ratio, the fact that almost all the deposit money banks have now met the 60% requirement set by the Apex Bank back in July has erased any shred of it. The CBN had debited a combined sum of $1.4 billion from the vault of the banks that had earlier failed to meet its September deadline for the 60% loan-to-deposit ratio, holding their cash at 0% interest rates. But having met the requirements, quite a number of the banks have had their funds returned. But they would also be in a race to meet up with the December deadline of the new LDR of 65% set by the central bank.
Ideally, credit drive economy. Credit, starting from consumer credit, that will stimulate consumption. Consumption will stimulate product demand for goods and services, which will stimulate production. That's obviously what the government is driving at. And I think right now the banks are trying to expand their consumer credit. I'm hoping that the benefit of that expansion of consumption or consumer credit will be trapped locally. It will not lead to an uptick in demand for imports, because we also must have the capacity to produce those goods that the consumers will be demanding from the credit they are going to be enjoying.
The pressure to meet up with the new 65% LDR is forcing banks to become more aggressive in creating loans even to subprime borrowers, something some say could lead to increase in non-performing loans if not well managed.
Most of the banks are evolving consumer credits. They are calling their customers based on the customers' annual salaries or monthly salaries, offering them credit cards so that they can withdraw or make payments in advance. So basically, the banks have become quite more aggressive. How that will eventually play out as it relates to the banks' non-performing loans is yet to be determined. Because basically, when you begin to lend indiscriminately, the tendency that you will lend to subprime customers is high, and any lending to subprime customers is subject to higher risk of default.
Given the number of banks which were unable to meet the previous deadline, a 3-month directive to meet up with an even higher percentage may be a tough ask. Some analysts suggest the CBN considers extending the deadline.
If it becomes a systemic issue, the banks could push for an extension of the time, and Central Bank may consider an extension, given the fact that September, when the 60% was implemented, was just 3 months earlier than the December period, and they may consider giving the banks more time.
Since the Central Bank of Nigeria introduced the regulations on loan-to-deposit ratio, it's estimated that deposit money banks have, within a period of 3 months, lent around $2.4 billion to the real sector of the Nigerian economy. Now, there have been reports that some banks are lending out money to speculators to go buy treasury bills. The central bank says any bank or customer caught in the act will face very severe sanctions.
The anti-open grazing bill currently being considered by the Oyo State House of Assembly has now attracted threats of a lawsuit by herdsmen in the state. Hundreds of herdsmen from all across the state were in Igongon in Ibarapa North local government area. After an hours-long meeting, they decided on dragging the state assembly to court over the bill which would prohibit open grazing when it becomes law. The herdsmen declared the bill as too draconian. They said it was designed to cripple them from carrying out their trade in the state. The Speaker's Special Assistant to New Media, Ojebola Okpeoluwa, said the House will soon let the public know its position on the herdsmen threats. Coming up, African stories. South Africa's first bank leader of largest opposition party has quit the party and parliament. And later, international news. Britain braces for election while awaiting EU decision.
Dear mommy, you went out that night with the baby in your tummy, but you did not come back. The baby is very fine and she eats and sleeps a lot. Everyone says that you are in a better place, but I miss you so much. I keep asking them, where is the better place? But nobody answers me. Auntie Carrie just hugs me and says, go and play. Mommy, I miss you. Please, when are you coming home?
I still do miss you, Mom. And in honor of your memory, I'm a doctor today working with the MTN Foundation to save mothers and children every day.
Ending mother and child mortality in Nigeria is dear to us. We will keep strengthening this most important bond just for you.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to African stories. The World Health Organization says the first case of polio in Zambia since 1995 has been reported. It says a 2-year-old boy has been paralyzed by a virus derived from the vaccine. A WHO report says the case was detected on the Congolese border, a country that has reported almost 40 cases of polio this year. They have been traced to the vaccine. The UN Health Agency says there is no established link between the Zambian case and the ongoing outbreak in the Congo. It says increased surveillance and vaccination efforts are needed. WHO has warned there is likelihood the outbreak could spread internationally. 9 African countries are currently battling polio epidemics linked to the vaccine. WHO and partners are struggling to ensure their efforts to eradicate polio stay on track. Polio cases have also been reported in China, Myanmar, and the Philippines. The first black leader of South Africa's largest opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, Msu Maimane, has quit the party in parliament a day after resigning his post amid a row over race. Maimane says he's stepping down because he had lost faith in the party he has led for 4 years. He says despite his best efforts, the party was not the best vehicle to create a united South Africa. He was implying that a white minority group in the party was blocking his attempts to reach out to more black voters and address their concerns about racial injustice. Msu Maimane's resignation as leader of the Democratic Alliance is a dramatic and devastating moment for South Africa's official opposition. Earlier this week, another one of the party's prominent black leaders, Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba, also quit, citing similar racial issues. Federal Chairman Arthur Cholip, a white politician who is a Maimane loyalist, also resigned from his post on Wednesday. Rwanda's Elders Forum has addressed concern over unreserved genocide trials that were to have been concluded 9 years ago. They involve more than 1 million properties, 50,000 of which are still not concluded. Here's more in this report from Rwandan television.
Among 2 million trials conducted by Gacaca courts, those involving property are 1,266,632. The Ministry of Justice expected these trials to be done by 2010, but until now, 52,226 cases are hanging in the balance. The president of Ibuka, Professor Dusengezemungu Jean-Pierre, explains that the talks are needed to find solutions. What is necessary is talking, because there are people in extreme poverty. There you can talk. For us, we don't refuse talking because we accepted Gacaca and supported it, and we sacrificed some things. Sacrifices, however, need basic things, which will come from the talks. The Ministry of Justice and Local Government Ministry consider there are certain challenges that impede the closure of cases involving property, of which include final stamps on completed cases, which are 33,035. There are also 12,037 cases of people who are unable to pay due to their little means, and also about 3,556 cases of people who had to pay but passed away. The Ministry of Local Government sets November 28th as the date local leaders should close pending cases, but according to Gachire Bob from the ministry, this time might be extended. The reports have not come yet, but when they do, next month, we shall evaluate them. How did those with 200 cases fare? We set a deadline for the reports, but if there are challenges, we can extend it to another nearer date. Whatever the case may be, this problem will be solved in partnership with all organs, according to the Ministry of Justice's Rugeni Martin. There are cases of people who passed away, yet having to pay for the assets, and they left nothing behind for repayment. Also those who fled the country and left nothing behind. There are also cases of trials which were completed but suspects never found, like someone who was called Chijinji or Mkombozi, pseudonyms, with their real names and places of birth unknown because they had relocated or were just laborers. Those are the cases we need to evaluate and find solutions and measures for. In a meeting that brought together all stakeholders, the Rwanda Elders Advisory Forum discussed challenges that still impede Gacaca court property cases. Gacaca courts did a good job. Rwandans did a good job trying genocide and property cases through Gacaca. It would be a challenge if these cases were not closed. It would mean that the good reputation of justice by Gacaca courts would be tarnished due to unfinished cases. When it comes to unity and reconciliation, ignoring to close a case leads to genocide ideology, which lags unity and reconciliation processes.
Imanza zitararangizwa bikaba ari imbogamizi mu rwego rw'ubumwe n'ubwiyunge.
Many are calling upon the government to streamline a way through which different organs embark on to solve this problem once and for all, because there are cases where organs collided or despised each other's resolutions.
When we return, international news. Britain braces for election while awaiting EU decision. And later, sport. Postponed 2019 El Clasico to hold on December the 18th. Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to foreign stories. Leaders of 27 European Union nations are still considering whether to grant the United Kingdom a delay in its departure date from the bloc and, crucially, how long such an extension should last. European Council President Donald Tusk has urged EU leaders to back a delay, and the bloc's diplomats are hinting at the possibility of a 3-month delay. Deliberations at a Wednesday British House of Commons meeting reached no conclusion and will restart on Friday. There is an impasse between those who want to leave the EU immediately with no deal, those who want a departure at some point soon once a divorce deal has been agreed, and those who want to remain in the world's largest trading bloc. Politics lecturer at the College of Europe, John Worth, says there is a greater chance of a general election being held in the United Kingdom in the final months of this year. If an election is not called soon to happen by Christmas, Worth believes there would be a good chance of it happening early in 2020. And U.S. President Donald Trump has lifted recent sanctions imposed on Turkish imports because of the ceasefire in northern Syria. It says is permanent. Early this month, Trump halted negotiations on a $100 billion trade deal with Turkey and raised steel tariffs back up to 50%. He also imposed sanctions on 3 senior Turkish officials and Turkey's defense and energy ministries. Trump has been under fire for withdrawing U.S. troops from northern Syria. Many accuse him of abandoning Kurdish forces, one of America's main allies in the fight against the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. The U.S. president initially imposed sanctions on Turkey, following backlash from Democrats and many within his own party over the withdrawal and Turkey's subsequent military offensive in northern Syria. Trump's critics also said he gave up American influence in the region and signaled to future allies that the U.S. is no longer a reliable partner. More than 170,000 persons have been displaced by the Turkish offensive and hundreds of imprisoned ISIL fighters have escaped during this conflict. Republican lawmakers stormed into a secured Capitol hearing room where U.S. defense official Laura Cooper, who oversees Ukraine and Russia matters, was set to testify against President Trump in the ongoing impeachment inquiry, which focuses on Trump's request for Ukraine to investigate a domestic rival, Democrat Joe Biden, for his personal political benefit. Republicans say the procedural rules set by leaders of the Democratic-led House for the impeachment inquiry is unfair. Cooper was to face questions about Trump's decision this year to withhold Ukraine's security assistance of almost $400 million approved by Congress. Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell says Republican tactics of compromising a secure area of the Capitol, obstructing the impeachment inquiry, and seeking to intimidate a witness would not delay the impeachment probe. Democratic lawmakers hope to complete the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump by year's end. China has unveiled new regulations to improve rules aimed at enhancing the business climate in the country, officially throwing legal and institutional support behind the country's long-stated goals to create more stable, transparent, and fair market for all types of businesses. Reporter Sun Ye has the details.
China unveils its most comprehensive and resolute plan in years for a better business environment. The regulation on optimizing the business environment, set to go into effect January the 1st, outlines measures to address existing concerns. The regulation makes it clear that China will further relax its market entry rules. It promises a level playing field for all market entities entering industries outside the negative list. The list, which lays out what sectors overseas investors have no or limited access to, will also shorten. The regulation also pledges several new establishments to facilitate intellectual property rights protection, including a punitive damage system, a fast response collaborative mechanism, and a dispute settlement mechanism.
We're launching regulations to give more vitality and creativity to market players. A better business environment will help boost economic growth and employment.
Ning also says the regulation will allay overseas investors' qualms.
We will speed up the opening up process, all in the aim of creating a stable, fair, predictable business environment that is open and in tune with the international economy. Our efforts are recognized globally.
The regulations come at a time when China is experiencing its slowest growth in nearly 30 years and encouraging both domestic and overseas business to invest and grow in China. Officials say by giving these regulations law validity and protection, market entities should be confident of their future in China.
Still to come, sports. Postponed 2019 El Clasico to hold on December the 18th. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sports, the Mali Football Federation has confirmed that Mohamed Magazuba will stay on as coach of the Eagles. A 61-year-old Magazuba has been caretaker coach for 2 years following the resignation of Frenchman Alain Giresse. His main targets will be qualifying Mali for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon and the World Cup in Qatar a year later. The postponed El Clasico between Barcelona and Real Madrid will now be played on December the 18th despite opposition from La Liga. They had proposed early December. They say they are considering an appeal. This means Barcelona, who wanted the match to go ahead as originally planned this weekend, will face a testing few weeks before Christmas. In December, they are already scheduled to play away at Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan in the Champions League, and Real Sociedad, who sit fourth in La Liga. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatoji. Have a pleasant evening.